Om Swastiastu, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, salam sejahtera. We are from small group discussion B10. Today we will present it about our student project, and the title of our student project is Gene Cloning and Therapy. So this is a topic that will be presented today. We really hope through our presentation we can increase our knowledge and be useful for the audience.
Hi, my name is Gusti Agung Adinda Fidelia Putri, with my last 3-digit names are 2, 3, and 2. And today I'm going to explain about the background of gene cloning and therapy. The original clone, which evolved naturally through artificial cloning from the late 20th century, becoming a hot topic with the appearance of the leadership. The topic of cloning is believed to be beneficial to humanity progress, but there are still a lot of disagreement, especially when it is related to humanity's values, laws, ethics, and controversies. Cloning can be used as a therapist, reproductively, and also can be used in the research laboratory, biotechnology, medicine, the pharmaceutical industries, and agriculture. The concepts of gene therapy first emerged in the 1960s and early 1970s. The concept of gene therapy involves the transfer of genetic material into a cell, tissue, or whole organ with the aim of curing the disease or at least to improve the clinical condition of the patient. Gene therapy is now becoming an additional treatment option, and when combined with the other therapies such as chemotherapy and radiation therapy, patient outcomes are further improved. And here's the problem identification for our topic. And here's the purpose of our topic. And the benefits is, through this paper, writers and readers can understand about gene cloning and therapy, with definitions, history, mechanism, application, risk, issues, and future development opportunities of gene cloning and therapy. Writers and readers will certainly be able to know more details about gene cloning and therapy, and also can increase knowledge against gene cloning and therapy. I think that's all about my explanation, and the next explanation will be continued by my friend. Thank you.
My name is Fricillia Wijaya with the last 3-digit name 236, and I will explain what is gene cloning and therapy. So the definition, I divide to 4 parts. So the first, some clones already exist in nature. For example, we can see the identical twins in human are almost related to clones. Second, gene therapy and gene cloning hold a big deal for future medical care and treatment. We can see that gene therapy is the introduction of genes into individual cells or tissues to treat a disease. Meanwhile, gene cloning is used to duplicate exactly the same genes or copies for some medical purposes. But the main point is, it is stated in the third point and the fourth point. In the third point, in gene therapy, they modify or replace the defective genes with the normal ones. Meanwhile, gene cloning can also be called the process of making multiple or identical copies of a particular pieces of genes in DNA.
Hi, I will present you about history of gene cloning and therapy. But first, my name is Putu Karina Chandra, and 3 last digit name are 240. The first study of cloning occurred in 1885 when the German scientist Hans Adolf Eduard Rees began researching reproduction. Since then, according to the Center for the Study of Genetic Sciences, there have been many breakthroughs in cloning. In February 1997, the birth of Dolly, the first mammal to be cloned from an adult cell, marked a clear dividing line in the history of cloning research. Before Dolly, cloning was a complex technique with limited use. One of application gene cloning is gene therapy. What supported gene therapy between 1963 and 1990 was the development of recombinant DNA technology. In 2003 and also in November 2005, China approved the first gene therapy drug for the treatment of certain malignant tumors, the first European application for approval of gene therapy drug for the treatment of aggressive brain tumor in 2005. Thank you.
My name is Ayu Karralika Raidinjana with the last 3-digit number 246, and I will be explaining about the mechanism of gene cloning and therapy. Here in this slide, I already have a schematic outline that will describe to you about the mechanism of gene cloning. In the left side, you will see a figure that explains about the overview of the steps in traditional cloning experiment. Mechanism of gene cloning consists of 9 steps. The first step, identifying the target sequence. You should know that this step is important because it creates the basis for all the subsequent experiments. And the selection of the correct sequence and the correct database source will depend on the specifics of the intended experiment. The second step, in silico design. The visualization of the vector and intended insert sequence is often helpful for cloning experiments to aid with the design of the cloning experiment. The third step, primer design. The designing process aims to choose a primer sequence that will accurately straighten the target sequence from the template material with high fidelity. The first steps, template preparation. In this step, a purified sample of genomic material utilized as a template to straighten the target gene or sequence prior to cloning is possible for most cloning experiments of model organism gene. The fifth steps, generation of DNA recombinant. After the preparation, the factor and inserts are mixed, and the adenosine triphosphate or the ATP-dependent DNA ligation reactions are performed using enzymes, such as T4-DNA ligase. The sixth step, introduction of the recombinant RNA into the host organism. There are two main ways in making E. coli, which is the most common host organism, competent for DNA uptake. The first way is chemical competence, and the second way is electroporation. The seventh step, selection of the clones of organisms containing the factors. The selection of the organism that carries the drug-resistant DNA marker and the desired plasmid are allowed because bacteria are cultured on semi-solid agar media containing the appropriate selection agent. The eighth step, screening for clones with the desired recombinant DNA molecules. There are three main strategies in achieving this: colony PCR screening, restriction digestion screening, and DNA sequencing. The last step, which is the ninth step, expansion and isolation of the recombinant DNA. In this step, the bacterial clone carrying the desired recombinant DNA is expanded liquid culture to strengthen the plasmid after screening, and by using appropriate protocols or commercial kits, the strengthened plasmid can be extracted and purified. And now I will explain to you about the mechanism of gene therapy. In the nucleus, the damaged gene will be altered by using these two techniques, ex vivo technique and in vivo technique. The first technique, ex vivo technique. In the lab, patient cells are cultured by the recognition of new genes into the cells. Then, the cells with the new genes are managed back into the patient. The next technique, which is the in vivo technique, the new genes will be transferred in the body of the patient by means of a factor. And the achievement of this technique can be done by using either a systemic infusion of DNA liposome or a tissue injection of a recombinant virus, or using a biopsic gene gun to implant a plasmid DNA into the patient's cells. That's all about my explanation, and the next explanation will be carried by my friend.
My name is Istri Agung. My last three digit name are 252. Now I'm gonna talk about the application of gene cloning in terms of gene therapy. This application is very useful. By removing the defective gene and inserting new and healthy genes into it, this process can cure a very deadly inherited disease such as number 1, Leber congenital amaurosis or LCA. It's a rare inherited eye disease that arises at birth and affects 1 in 80,000 of the population. In early 2007, there was a first patient that had been operated with gene therapy by researchers at Moorfields Eye Hospital and University College London in London. Number 2, ADA-SCID. This disease affects children, but there have been 6 patients who have been treated, and until now, they can live a normal life. And the last one, hemophilia. Hemophilia is a disease that causes the affected to be unable to induce blood clots. There was a clinical trial that was conducted in the United States. The affected soon got the normal blood clotting time, but it was temporary because the patient immune system recognized it as a foreign thing. That's all from me. Next, my friend will continue this.
Hello, my name is Agung, Istri, Anggreni, and my last 3-digit name is 233. Now I will present it about the application of gene cloning and therapy in medicine for Parkinson's and diabetes disease. Parkinson's disease, RPD, is the second most common neurodegenerative disease and is estimated to affect up to 5.8 million people. Parkinson's disease is characterized by asymmetrical slow motor symptoms. One of the ways to cure Parkinson's disease is gene therapy. Gene therapy usually uses carriers called vectors to deliver therapeutic genes to target cells. In Parkinson's disease, a viral vector is injected into the brain. GDN of gene therapy aims to improve the life and function of degenerate sensitive brain cells. And next, for diabetes disease. Diabetes affects at least 285 million people worldwide and can cause everything such as illness, stroke, heart, and kidney damage. The cause is unknown, but genes and lifestyle may play a role. In the field of molecular and transformation techniques, the researchers first presented a potential therapy for the genetic form of diabetes. Several scientists have succeeded in proving that CRISPR-Cas9 technology holds promise for the treatment of diabetes. Maybe that's all I can say, and for the next will be presented by my friend.
Okay, my name is Putu Diva with 3 last digit name number is 238. So I will continue the presentation about the application of gene cloning and therapy in medicine for cancer. Cancer cells have three characteristics that are genetically regulated for the survival and growth of, which are cancer cells show an abnormal growth rate, cancer cells don't die even the body coded, cancer cells fight the work of the immune system. Therefore, gene therapy for the treatment of cancer is based on changes in growth rate, control of cell death, and letting the immune system kill cancer cells. New genes need a way to reach target cells. Genes are usually delivered in vivo or ex vivo. The shipping methods are involve virus, liposomes, DNA injection, and gene gun. Along with the development of the theory of gene cloning, therefore, gene therapy drugs with safe vectors and advanced biotechnology will play a greater role in the prevention and treatment of future cancers. So that's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Ayala Teresa with last digit name 247. Cloning is not a new venture. For years, researchers have been exploring the possibility of creating new individuals without combining sperm and ovum. Various studies have developed this method and it works. One of the most famous examples of successful cloning is dolly-ship cloning. This success shows that nuclear transfer is possible in all mammals, including humans. There are two areas of application in human genetic engineering. First, somatic genetic engineering. Use genes from specific organs of the human body cell. Second, germline genetic engineering. Use the target gene of either an egg, sperm, or embryo cell. Based on experiments, on November 13, 2001, Sibley et al. Succeeded in cloning human embryos through the nuclear transfer technique. The experimental results show that only one of the embryos successfully reaches the 6-cell stage and form human egg cells to develop naturally into blastocytes, which will form a new organism. Cell is one of cell types used for nuclear transfer in gene cloning and therapy. Stem cell can differentiate into specialized cells, have important characteristics that distinguish them from other cells, namely self-renewing ability, through mitotic division for potential therapy of several disorders. That's all for me. Today's explanation will be continued by my friend. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gayatri with 3 last digit names 235. We're gonna be discuss about risk of gene cloning and therapy. This topic does offer a variety of benefits for us, but again, the utility of something is not the only one that must be considered. First, there's gonna be a countless of trial and error. The purpose of gene cloning leads to create a superior gene, which there's gonna be a countless of trial and error that could lead animal with organ that doesn't work, different proportion, and much more. Second, when great tools came with great responsibility, mostly we use virus as a factor as it is fit for the therapy, but this comes with various risks such as inflammation and mutation. 3. For some diseases, therapy is temporary and came with a light risk such as headache and hallucination, which both is consuming for money and time. And last, most gene therapy is designed to achieve long-lasting effects, but then it discovered it also came with the risk of delayed side effect. It means there's going to be a lot of disease when it occur in the future. That's all for this discussion. For the next topic will be discussed by my friend. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Fiona Natania Santoso with last 3-digit name 249. Now I will explain about the ethical issues and loss aspect raised by gene cloning and therapy. The law number 36/2014 about health workers mentioned that health workers should be able to give their best quality to public with responsibility, high expertise, ethics, and in accordance with the development of health science and technology. The law number 36/2009 paragraph 1 and 2 regulates about pregnancy outside the natural way and reproduction with health. Pancasila is the most important principle in Indonesia. Pancasila perspective can be a fundamental ethical issue, so it can be considered as a base of science implementation in innovating, but still considering its meaning and its consequences. Human rights is regulated in law number 39 year 1999. It mentioned that human is a creature of God Almighty who managing the universe to the full responsibility for the welfare of mankind. According to it, human rights are something that is given by God and not by the world. Acknowledging reproductive cloning as human is still impossible from human rights law. Failure of reproductive cloning could cause some violations. From Indonesian Criminal Article number 351, the failure of it causes some mistreatment with 2 years prison sentence. From Indonesian Law of Health Article number 194, mentioned about prohibition of abortion. A person who performs an abortion will be jailed for a maximum of 10 years in prison and a maximum fine of 1 billion rupiah. From health law's perspective or Indonesian Medical Code of Ethics, the application of biotechnology for cloning therapy must be with informed consent that is obeyed by health workers to prevent misuse of genetic codes and genetic information. That's all about my presentation, and the next presentation will be explained by my friend. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Natalie Pantoro, and my last digit number is 248. And now I will explain to you the ethical issues and law aspect raised by gene cloning and therapy. The use of embryo in this process is widely discussed because of its low efficiency that many will be destroyed during the treatment. These embryos have moral status according to some religions, so scientists have no legal authority to kill them. Furthermore, designing human as something that can be produced is extremely dangerous, especially in this globalized world. A person is devolving into a thing, another fact, and it is lack of human right. Cloning, according to ethician, violates human dignity, remove uniqueness, and endanger humanity, while philosophers believe that cloning will lead to human extinction. Each human don't respect each other because there is master-maker relationship, and clones could never be equal to their own maker. And on the religion perspective, cloning is viewed positive by Judaism, according to one of Judaism's foundation principle that God wants humans to use all their abilities to improve their health. As a result, most Jewish scholars believe that it should be permitted but not for productive cloning. And then there's Protestant theologian condemn cloning because he saw a threat to Christians' view, and Islamic bioethic stands negative in this matter, with reference to Masalik al-Ilah that can be argued that the right ilah or way of producing offspring is the use of sperm rather than any other way. Thank you.
My name is Putu with my last three-digit name is 241. I will be continuing the explanation about the future development opportunities. In the beginning, gene cloning is mostly applied in the farming and food industry. Later on, the idea of gene cloning and therapy began to develop in medicine, especially unfolding the inherited disease, cancer, and reproductive technology. Next, there are some variations development of technology. The first one is therapeutic. Cloning involves creating clone embryos for the sole purpose of producing embryonic stem cells with the same DNA as the donor cell. This will avoid the immune rejection. The second one is stem cell and its ability to differentiate into germ layers such as endoderm that can evolve into lungs, ectoderm evolves into nervous system and epidermal tissues, and mesoderms evolves into muscle, blood, and bone. This can be an alternative for organ transplant. Lastly, the gene editing technology can silence the overactive genes or repair the unwanted activity rather than replacing them. With the precise target of the genetic alterations, this can be a solution for diseases such as cancer. And lastly, the research on embryonic stem cells for medications and therapeutic cloning is approved. However, the reproductive cloning, including human cloning, is explicitly prohibited. Thus, I conclude as this offer a great potential of solutions in disease, this will continue to develop further in the future. That is all from me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Agung, Istri, and my last three-digit name is 233. Now I will present about the summary of our student project. Gene cloning and therapy hold a big deal for future medical care and treatment. Gene cloning is used to duplicate exactly the same genes for some medical purpose. Meanwhile, gene therapy offers lifelong living, a better quality of life, and the potential for liberation from a variety of related illnesses. One of the applications of gene cloning is gene therapy. In gene therapy, they modify or replace the defective genes with normal ones using a vector or gene editing and modified genetic material functions which are appropriate to correct the underlying defect. Application of gene cloning and therapy in medicine can be used for preventing inherited disease, Parkinson's, diabetes, cancer, and for reproductive technologies. And for the next explanation will be explained by my friend.
My name is Karralika with last digit name 247. Okay, I will continue the summary about gene cloning and therapy on chapter 3. Gene therapy has been gradually accepted by governments and has become an important alternative to existing therapies in recent years. Cloning doesn't stand a special risk to animal health for the purpose of consumption, also it is safe for consumption. Although gene cloning and therapy does offer a variety of benefits, there are various risks of gene cloning and therapy. Moreover, this process is most likely giving birth to a new life without doing the normal process. In the application of gene cloning and therapy, there are several perspectives dealing with ethical and law aspects, especially human rights, and the application should be based on it. In order to do that, the improvement of gene therapy and technology are all regulated with careful clinical trials. Hopefully, the development of gene cloning and therapy will keep evolving as the technology that generates an effective strategy for organ transplant and also determine the future treatment of disease. I guess that's all from our group presentation about gene cloning and therapy. We would like to thank you and apologize if there are any mistakes in our presentation. We will close this presentation with Paramasanti. Om Santi 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 Om.